when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and I run it back to Kentucky. biggest biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome to the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can also be seen on the Martin Houston Network at Tide 109, Martin Houston fan page, Alabama Tradition, X's and O Sports, as well as YouTube, Martin Houston Live, and at Martin Houston Live 35 on Twitter. It's a beautiful Monday morning. We're live, local, and ready to get things going. For those of you who are tuned in on the video network, it is obvious that I have a little different background as I am traveling. We'll be back with you in studio later this week, but in my regular studio. But glad to be with you today. Gonna still have the great show, still have X's and O's, Xavier Houston joining me. Got Mason in the studio pressing all the right buttons. And we want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, 205-342-9904. Or you can always join us via chat on the network. So looking forward to getting your thoughts, your comments, and your interaction with us this morning. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you with us. As we were going off the air Friday, asked what was the big stories of the going to be the big stories we be talking about this week. And you, of course, said based on the decision of one of the top players in the state, Mr. Peter Woods, we'd be talking about that. So that's going to be part of the conversation here in just a few moments. Joe talked about SEC Media Day, so we'll definitely talk about that a little bit as that kicks off next week. SEC Media Day is what will be the big topics. Who you think is going to be the gentleman who will travel up with Coach Saban, and then of course we will grade. We'll hit the running backs at some point today, or at least this week. All of those topics are up for discussion. You're welcome to bring your topic, your comment, your question to the table. So with that said, though, X, before we get into that, there's a couple other topics that are, that need to hit from the weekend. Hadn't dug deep into it, but it looks like both Alabama baseball and softball getting in on the transfer portal. They've lost some players to different places, but Alabama adding, North Alabama utility player Emma Broadfoot to the transfer portal earlier. And on Saturday, they got former Ball State outfielder Faith Hensley to the roster. So, Coach Murph trying to add some depth to his to the roster, And interesting, one of the things that he had kind of gotten critiqued about X and Mason was that, you know, Alabama's the, he's traditionally used a slap stick batting as a part of it, but Faith appears to bring a big bat to the Tide. So, any thoughts or comments on that addition before we transition to baseball? Also making a little noise in the transfer portal.
Yeah, when you look at the Ball State transfer, she holds the record for the highest GPA batting average in Ball State school history, a 389. So you're talking about someone that can hit and hit consistently. So I think that's definitely a big move for Coach Murphy and the softball team.
Yeah, Mason, any thoughts or comments on Faith? Because you know he got that was kind of the thing that as his team went along and as you watched the College World Series, big bats definitely seem to have been, you know, the pathway to the championship this past year.
Yeah, you mentioned it right there, Martin. I think this team kind of lacked last year was that home run ability in a lot of cases. You know, they went out and they got to address that problem. So I think it's a big pickup for them.
Absolutely. And then, of course, Bohannon adding a third player, baseball player out of, you know, the transfer portal with Mac Gousset, former catcher of the Florida Gators, joining the Crimson Tide. And, of course, he joins right-handed pitcher Aiden Mose out of UAB and Tennessee Tech third baseman Ed Johnson. You know, we'll see what that does for the Tide, but you know, in baseball, getting good quality players and experienced players, I know that Bohannon had a lot to do with the situation with Auburn, Mason, and Xavier. And we've seen that Auburn, despite the same struggles that Alabama's had on the baseball field, Auburn's found a way and figured out a way to be competitive and even make a run. And part of that was building it off of junior college players. And looks like even though the portal's been available to baseball before now, it looks like baseball may be using this portal. Bohannon, similar to the way he helped build Auburn's program through the junior college ranks.
Yeah, I agree when you look at it from that standpoint. And, you know, I think Bohannon doing that with Alabama is going to be a big step in getting things going in the right direction, because it's like we talk about in football. Even though the circumstances are a little different, you're talking about replacing talent with experience and things of that nature, and that can tend to go further in a lot of situations.
Yeah, and that brings up a question we're going to get to from a recruiting standpoint, which, of course, we do have recruiting news. I want you guys to think on this for a second. You know, the reality of it is, based on how your program is going, if you're an established program and you have guys coming in consistently and you have 5 stars that are staying in the program and being developed, of course you want the 5-star out of high school, because it gives you, you know, probably two to 2.5 years of a really good player. Because you take even Will Anderson coming here, his first part of his freshman year, he was getting a feel for it. You could tell he was going to be great, but he wasn't playing necessarily at a high level. By the end of his freshman year, he was beginning to show that he could be a dominant player. By the end, he definitely had established himself, and then he picked up last year. Same with Dallas Turner. The question is a 3-4 star from a JUCO rank or a transfer portal that has, you know, 1-2 years experience, is that a better player for an immediate impact to the program. So I want you to just hold on to that thought. Is that is that player more likely to have a more immediate impact, even though he may have been a 3-star or maybe a low 4-star coming out of high school? Is that person more likely to have a more immediate impact? We're going to answer that question, but let's go ahead and instead of rushing Pat, because I know Pat's going to want to talk about the big commitment. Xavier, you called it on Friday. You and Joe and Hank, all of us wanted to believe that somehow, some way, that the rumors weren't true about Peter Woods, but they were. Clemson made a close. Dabo did to Saban. He closed strong, closed hard, closed fast. And, of course, talking about the Thompson 5-star defensive lineman who chose the Clemson Tigers over the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll talk about that decision. We'll bring Pat into that conversation. What does it mean? Does it mean anything? Does something like that hurt Saban? We'll talk about all of that and more as we continue the conversation right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. I want to thank the great folks over at Alabama One. Alabama One, you can go to alabama1.org and take advantage of 2 great offers. Get more truck for your buck and more car for your cash. Low rates and extended terms help you get the ride you want with a great payment option. You can start off with as low as 1.99 interest rate on a 36-month term. On used cars, you can get up to 84 months. And listen closely, on a new car, you can get up to 96 months. That's right. All of those terms are available. Stop by one of our branch locations and ask the manager, or go fill out the paperwork at alabama1.org. Apply online. You can get the same great treatment. And while you're there, you can save money on your car insurance. But why stop there? All the other options are available as well. Insurance, including auto, home, life, and business. That's Alabama One. Alabama One Insurance. Go to alabama1.org and you can get to both locations from there. We'll be back in just a moment for more conversation around recruiting, Peter Woods, the Clemson Tigers, and more right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, a good Monday morning to you. No active wrecks. Everything pretty quiet on the roadways this Monday morning. Now, if you do see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Now you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on a new or used vehicle at Townsend Nissan. Remember, they're your hometown dealer, and I'm Captain Ray.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Timberline Homes of Tuscaloosa is where your best trade can be made. At Timberline Homes of Tuscaloosa, we will take your home, car, boat, RV, four-wheeler, or even your coin collection as a trade toward the purchase of your new home. That's right. Bring us what you've got and let us give you our best deal on the lot. Timberline Homes of Tuscaloosa, located on Highway 69 South. Timberline Homes of Tuscaloosa is where your best trade can be made. Come trade with us today.
Looking good, Mrs. Dobbs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Aeration. They need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of a new laundry set that provides a powerful yet gentle clean in less time, making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Final days. Get up to 25% off plus $750 instant savings on select appliances through July 13th. Valid June 22nd through July 13th. U.S. only. Gas dryer extra. See store for details.
Weather brought to you by Fincher and Osmond. Fincher and Osmond carries artisan-created diamonds, and trust us, they are bigger than you expect. Visit www.fincherandosmond.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. A chance of widely scattered showers or thunderstorms this afternoon or this evening. The high today 90, tonight's low 73. For tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds with scattered showers and thunderstorms around. The high 89. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 73 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmarkdesign.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Woo! Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out, bring them out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth. Woo! Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. And we're talking Alabama football. We're talking recruiting, news, and updates. Alabama getting hit a couple different times this weekend, and we'll talk about both of those. Alabama loses four-star safety slash player Elliott Washington from Venus, Florida, who is committed to Alabama since January, reopened his recruitment this weekend via Twitter and says, reopened and then committed to the Penn State Nittany Lions. So we'll watch that and talk about that a little bit. And of course, the big news is that Alabama loses Peter Woods. So let's get Pat's thoughts first, and then we'll go back and discuss it. Pat, welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. Hey, first off, Martin, why are my Alabama fans giving poor old Coach Roach a hard time? Oh, Coach Roach did everything he could possibly do. This thing is not over. I'm going to give you a bold prediction right now. You can write it down that Peter Woods will flip back to Alabama by the early signing period. This is a process. Hey, did these people that are giving Coach Roach a hard time, did any of them, undoubtedly, they were taught how to read by Auburn graduates, is what I'm guessing, because they didn't read that even if he declared for Alabama, for Clemson, which is what he did, it was not over. Did they not read it was not over? It's not over, Morton.
Where were they supposed to read that at, Pat?
They read it. They read it online. It was online that when they were giving all the predictions about where he was going, blah blah blah, and all these talking heads were saying that he was going to predict that he was going to go to Clemson. He's not going to go to Clemson. They did not read it was not over. It's not over, Martin. What part of that? And I understand, people got to get clickbait, but doggone, it's like they can't read.
But Pat, where did he say it wasn't over?
Do what now? Yeah.
Where did Peter Wood say he was going?
Peter Wood said he was going to Clemson. That doesn't mean it's over.
So where are you reading that it's not over?
I promise you, it's not over. I've been doing a whole bunch of research since this happened, and all my friends in the Red Elephant Club that are over closer to Clemson are all saying he'll flip back by December. Just mark my words, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. But
now, Pat, are you whistling going through the cemetery like Coach Stallings says that you're just hoping that that's the case?
No, I promise you, it's going to happen. But hey, you got to understand, recruiting is a process, and Nick's got this. Y'all don't.
Okay.
Y'all all so worried to death about when we miss on a player, and it's not over. A lot of these kids love this kind of stuff, enjoy the recruiting process. But I'm not saying that he's necessarily one of them. Hey, Dabo will dazzle you with all kinds of bells and whistles and stuff. But I promise you this, when it comes down time to close, Coach Saban will close him.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm confident. I am confident. Hey,
I'm
gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this about my son's evaluation on him. He said that, hey, Woods is the real deal. That he's ready to go now. I'm talking about to play. That he's that kind of an athlete. He's definitely got the size. He's a full 6'3", probably closer to 6'4" than he is 6'3", and he's put together. Hey, how do you say he looks like Tarzan? He sure does look like Tarzan.
But well, does he look like Tarzan, play like Jane? That's what we used to say.
No way. Well, that was what we was having issues with our man from Gordo, and I still ain't figured out Gordo's deal. How in the world? Because when he came out of high school, he was a can't miss player. That how do you say that, 5+ star? But what happened? I don't know.
But I hate to break it to you.
Yeah.
I don't think Peter Woods is flipping, and this is why.
You don't. Okay, tell me why.
Hear me out. What type of defense does Alabama run?
They run a 3-4. Yes, sir.
What type of defensive end is Peter Woods?
Well, he likes a 4.
Is he a 4-3?
He's a 4-3 guy. Yeah, man.
So, here's the thing. I've seen some people go, "Oh, well, you can sub him." Which edge rusher next year? Next year, you'll probably still have Chris Braswell. You're still going to have Dallas Turner. You're going to have Jeremiah Alexander and multiple other guys between the last few classes and whoever all we get in this year's class. Which one of those guys are you going to pull off the field to put Peter Woods?
You might be right, but I still think he's going to be in December. Like I said, people that I know that are in the know said that he will flip by December.
What's the young man's name at Clemson? Xavier, that defensive end, #1 recruit a couple years back for Clemson.
KJ Henry, Xavier.
No.
Brian Brzee?
Huh?
Brian Brzee or Brian Breeze?
Yeah.
Brian
Breezy.
Brian Breezy.
Yeah.
Is he graduating this year? I mean, is he going to be gone this year? After this year?
I think this is his senior year. If not, he's a junior. But I think this is his senior year.
My point behind behind what you're saying, Xavier, is that's part of the sale. Hey, listen, there's going to be a battle for this position. this guy has held this position down for the last couple of years, and if he has a great season, it's only going to help him. Now, Pat, I will tell you this: the biggest chance Alabama has of flipping him is if you see Alabama truly line up in some more 4-3 stuff. I think this guy is one of those guys that wants to be a legit 4-3 defensive end. He's long, he's lean, he's athletic. He's not an interior defensive lineman like we have in our three guys. At times we have two right now because, as Xavier said, we put a jack linebacker and then we make Will Anderson that third guy, and that's probably how we'll play, Dallas some or some of these other guys some. So to your point, Dabo may have found the angle. Dabo may have found the angle, Pat. Hold on, Pat. Dabo may have found an angle that he sold the kid on PT, because the thing you can't say, that you can say this at some schools, but you can't say that a 4 or 5 star coming to Dabo that stays in his program doesn't make it to the league and won't win championships. That's Saban's stick, but Dabo has the same stick. Look at what the defensive linemen that stay in his program do.
Okay, but I'm going to say one thing. The Venables is gone. The defensive coordinator at Clemson is gone. He's at Oklahoma.
And?
But I'm just telling you that. Well, he's for the time being. I promise you this.
So what if Pat,
he'll be with us. Go ahead.
Pat, what if the replacement for Venables ends up doing a better job than Venables? What if
remains to be seen.
Exactly. It does. And so right now, who's in the catbird seat, as they say? Clemson has the commitment. Clemson has the style of defense where he puts his hand in the dirt and comes off the edge. Clemson wins championships. Clemson put guys in the pros. So until something happens that changes that, Dabo right now is ahead. And there's one other thing that no one's talking about, that or kind of a combo thing that no one else is talking about. Hey, we don't know what all went into this decision, but there's something else that has happened that we're going to talk about on the other side. Thanks, Pat. I'll give you closing thoughts, Pat.
Hey, have a blessed one. Thank y'all. Have a great day.
All right. Coming back on the other side, Pat is convinced that Peter Woods is going to flip. I'm going to get Mason and Xavier's thoughts on that. I'd love to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. You can join the conversation, give your thoughts and your opinion. But there's a couple of things that may be going into this decision that nobody's talking about. And could it have even a domino effect further down the road? We'll talk about it right here on the Martin Houston Show, but you have to stay tuned if you want to be a part of that conversation right here on Tide 100.9.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
With your Tide Sports Update, I'm Mason Woods. The Alabama softball team added some new talent by way of the transfer portal this weekend, picking up a commitment from former Ball State outfielder Faith Hensley. Hensley was the 2022 Mid-American Conference Player of the Year for the Ball State Cardinals. The outfielder batted .404 with 63 hits, 17 home runs, and 40 RBIs in 2022. The Crimson Tide baseball team also made some moves in the transfer portal this weekend, landing former Florida catcher Matt Gousset. Alabama football takes the field in just 54 days against Utah State as they open the 2022 season.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
Run it again!
For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app.
Well, let's all up this Sunday. Our new sponsor, we appreciate them taking time to be on our show. What is your lintel? It's the load-bearing structure just above the garage door. Over the years, the weight of the bricks above a garage door put pressure on the structure. The pressure eventually causes the bricks to crack. Lintel lift, it has a solution, and it works without having to rebuild the entire garage door area. That's pretty darn important. After countless hours of research, testing, Lintel lift has developed the most efficient and economical method of repairing sagging and hermetic garage entrals. The strongest permanent repair solution you can get, and you can only get it from Lintel Lift. Dan, the Lintel man, who I'll talk about in just a minute, does a great job. You can call him. Lintel Lift will install steel beams that go across the top of your garage door to permanently prevent lintel from sagging at all. These beams are pre-engineered to lift specific weight ranges to straight plane. Contact Lintel Lift today and get a free quote. 205-858-LIFT. 205-858-5438.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our Pep Talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're live, local, and running things right here out of the radio network world, live, local, online, as well as you can catch us on the Tide 109 app and the Martin Houston radio network online. So all of those things happening at the same time. But the biggest news, guys, from the weekend, of course, this past week happening, Xavier, you guys went live on Tide tonight. Peter Woods choosing the Clemson Tigers. And then, of course, right after that, or around that same time on this past weekend, Alabama losing Elliott Washington II. After a big weekend the week before, kind of a little bit of a blow to the Crimson Tide. But how big a blow was this past weekend news for the Alabama Crimson Tide?
At the end of the day, I don't think it's that big of a deal when you look at it through the grand scheme of things. Losing out on Peter Woods in the fact that he's a local talent and you want to keep all the talent in state as possible is what makes that a big blow. But once again, how I talked about the scheme of how he fit into the defense, that he doesn't have a natural position in Alabama's 3-4 defense. But then you turn around and you look at some of these guys that are left in state. Kelby Collins, a true 3-4-D and James Smith that can play that nose tackle spot. It's still out there. You got Rustal, edge rusher. There's still plenty of guys to make this defensive front very solid alone, just from the state of Alabama alone, not including guys out around the country that Alabama is recruiting for those positions. And then you look at Elliott Washington. It's been rumored for a while that he was going to reopen and potentially decommit and go somewhere else. But Alabama is still in play for Caleb Downs, the top safety in the country, and a couple of other guys that are high rated at that position as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Mason, what are your thoughts on the Peter Woods loss?
I think Xavier said it perfectly. I think I think the optics of the situation are a little worse than the situation itself. I think Dabo Swinney coming into Nick Saban's backyard and taking a 5-star like this doesn't look great on the surface, but when you do dig a bit deeper, you find out, it's not a great scheme fit. There's a few things here and there's a few things that didn't quite line up with Peter Woods coming to Alabama. So I think you said it perfectly. And then as far as Elliott Washington goes, he's a guy I think he's a very solid athlete. He's a great, he's very versatile in the secondary there, but he's not necessarily in that mold of kind of what Alabama has been doing recently with their defensive backs of trying to get longer and lengthier guys. I think he's like 5'10", 5'11". He's not quite in that 6'1", 6'2" range that we've been seeing guys the last few years. So I don't think it's necessarily a huge loss. Obviously it's a bit disappointing, but I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. And I think right now it is optics, but I think it can morph into more. And that's the question. Will it morph into more? Because, there's the Chris Vizina, 5-star quarterback that Alabama didn't want, right? Didn't even really offer him, didn't really recruit him. Well, that starts to get out there. And one thing that Alabama hasn't done really well, right, guys, or a lot of, is recruit what? The state of Alabama, except for a handful of guys. Well, the narrative starts talking, talking heads start talking is that he doesn't respect the players in the state of Alabama. It doesn't have to be true, right? Just has to be said. And so you wonder, of course, Dabo is from, Pelham, not far from Alabaster. So that I'm sure that had a little bit to do with, he probably had some inside connections and inside relationships. But the fact that even though Nick Saban really didn't recruit Vizina, is it a big? I mean, you lose 2 5-stars to the same school, and we can say he's not a fit scheme wise, and I get that. But he also may not be 6'3", 270. He may end up being 6'3", 295, and he is going to be an interior lineman. So that part may be what Dabo sold him on as well, right, guys? Hey, listen, we'll play a big defensive end. We'll project you, but he may end up being a 295 guy and like an Aaron Donald. And I think Aaron Donald is a model that a lot more guys need to look at, that you don't have to be a behemoth in today's game to dominate on the interior. So the other part I would add to that is, it's not much talked about, but like I think the number 2 guy on their board, or at least he's in that interest, chose Miami the next day. In that same position. So when you start adding it up, he loses Elliott Washington, he loses Peter Woods, he misses on the kid that went to Miami. Right now it's just optics, but could it turn into more? And that's the question you kind of have to start digging into when you're talking about recruiting, what becomes the narrative out there. And so I think it'll be huge, guys, in terms of Alabama landing and getting back on some positive notes from the recruiting trail. And last thing I would say regarding that is, here's Alabama's chance. I'm sorry. What about the Vizina connection? But what about this? Everybody always assume guys want to play with their best friends. If he came here and he plays the position you're talking about, X, would he not be competing directly with his teammate now?
Yeah, I mean, he really would. And Jeremiah Alexander, and that's if he. And once again, like, he's already 270 going into his senior year, and it is very true. He could potentially be 290. He could potentially have turned into a Jonathan Howe.
Yep.
Who came to Alabama as an outside linebacker and left as a D tackle. But is that what he wants for himself? Is that what the trajectory of his career that he wanted to take, or would he try to stay at 270, drop to 260, whatever it is, to be able to play that jack linebacker, or Sam linebacker position at Alabama? And from everything I've heard, he wants to be that true DN. He wants to be that guy that comes off the edge. And so I think for that situation, Clemson is the perfect fit for him.
Yeah. And like I said, not everybody, we think it's a big deal to want to play with your teammates, but for him, that may not even be part of his criteria. He may not even considered that. And then when you add to the fact that, like you said, if he ends up playing a true DN, he ends up competing directly against, a former teammate in some ways in terms of Jeremy Alexander. So maybe he wants to cut his own teeth and all of that. But either way, I know Pat was positive. The reality of it is this. If even though he may flip back to Alabama's going to have to show some stuff this football season where they have a lot more of a 4-3 look, which they do, but they usually use a outside linebacker to create that look and not a defensive end. But hey, who knows? We could see more of that this year, where it's truly a defensive end 4-3 type of look, but I doubt it. Anyway, let's get the break here. Come back on the other side. Hey, guys, let's talk about when you're looking at this recruiting and bringing these guys in, are you – or if you're on the recruiting trail right now or for the 2023 class, are you more likely and let's think outside of Alabama. We can include Alabama in this conversation, but – are you more likely to want to maybe find a Tyler or Steen from Vanderbilt with a couple years of eligibility, or a 5-star out of high school with a huge upside if you're a player or two away? Which pathway would you take in the recruiting trail now that the transfer portal is truly free agency for college football? We'll talk about that and how Mason and Xavier would attack rebuilding their program or taking their program to the next level. More of that conversation right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a wreck reported on 69 northbound between Reese Pfeiffer and Skyland Boulevard with minor delays. Everything else appears to be moving well, but if you do see conditions, hey, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Now you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on a new or used vehicle at Townsend Nissan. Remember, they're your hometown dealer, and I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Monday morning. We begin the week without a heat advisory for the first time in 3 weeks. High temperatures will moderate into the lower 90s throughout the week. There will be chances of showers and thunderstorms throughout the week, however. ABC 3340 Chief Meteorologist James Spann will keep you updated all week about the possible thunderstorm activity. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa. Quality is number one. You got to start with a good quality product, but it's got to be at a good value to the customers.
Everything is about quality.
You just can't beat the quality, taste, and value.
And it's because we take pride in providing you with the best.
Good customer service and good food, good quality.
We want to make sure that we give that to them each and every time they come and visit us.
The sense of pride that we have in the quality, the consistency of our food carries over to everything we do in the stores. That's Taco Casa.
Did you book the Townsend's 10th anniversary tickets?
Alona's travel agency is overbooked and experiencing delays. She needs to land a new project manager to clear her business's runways.
Yes, Mrs. O'Hara, we checked. Pygmy goats do not count as emotional support animals.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Nature Valley has helped restore access to 10,000 miles of national park trails, and we're on our way to restoring even more because every mile is a new memory. Life happens out there. Nature Valley.
Locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports Xavier-07.
Welcome back in. I want to remind you that Empowerment Ministries presents Awakening. Our next Awakening service is Thursday, July 21st at 6:30 at the Link 610 Watermelon Road in Northport. So stop by and join us for an intimate time of worship and preaching of God's word, community-wide service. All welcome. If you want to be encouraged in your faith, join Awakening. That is next Thursday, July 21st at 6:30 at the Link. The team and I look forward to fellowshipping and worshiping with you on next Thursday. If you can't make it in person, you can go to Empowerment Ministries on Facebook and watch the broadcast and the worship service live right there on Facebook. All right, guys, as we wrap up today's show, the question out there I was kind of asking is just thinking more on the recruiting, and we've talked, I know about the JUCO route and all of that, but how much of a strategy is this going to be potentially for Nick Saban? With as meticulous as Nick Saban is in the recruiting trail, and him missing out on guys, I don't know the Jermaine Burton story. I don't know if he was a Alabama miss or not. I know Jamison Williams was. With the fact that you now miss on some of these guys and they go to these other schools, and it's not all that they were promised and doesn't turn out their way, how much of that philosophy or strategy is going to become a part of the recruiting playbook that Nick Saban is notorious for having right off the bat initially, guys?
I think it kind of depends on where your program is, in my opinion, how it impacts and things of that nature. But I definitely think when you look at how he's been able to, Nick Saban has the ability and is in the position where he can pull from both, hit or miss, because we've seen the track record of it being more hit than misses as a whole, I guess would be the best way to put it. He can go take a risk on a guy that's transferring. He can take a risk on the JUCO guy. He can take the risk on maybe the unknown guy that has a lot of potential coming out of high school.
Go ahead, Mason, and I got a follow-up question for you, Xavier.
No, I think I agree with what X is saying. I think it does depend a lot on where your program is. I think the transfer portal is something that a team can use if they're, just missing, if they're just a couple pieces away. I think that the transfer portal is a more viable option. I think, if you're missing a bunch of key pieces all over your team, a few transfers isn't really going to help a whole lot. I think that's where you really need to get into recruiting and start building a program.
Well, and I think it's kind of a twofold. So I guess the question becomes, X, can Alabama maintain? Because that's the question: is can Alabama maintain without the transfer portal, using the transfer portal to their benefit? Because if there's any school I'm gonna raid, it's gonna be Alabama. And is Alabama potentially the easiest place to pull a 3-star or 3 to 4-star from? Is it potentially the easiest place to pull from because of it having so much talent?
Most definitely, probably when you look at it as a whole, the talent level is deep at Alabama at every position, and there's some guys who don't have the patience to wait, or they have waited and they get passed up by a younger guy. So you're still getting a high quality player down the road from an Alabama, and we've seen that multiple times. Multiple times through guys that have transferred somewhere else and had successful careers.
So when follow up to that, so if you're another program out there and you're looking at building your program, guys, regardless of where you are, I mean, say you're Clemson and you're not missing many, or if you're Arkansas, who is missing more. Is Alabama in the transfer portal still not a better path than high school? And thus, I would ask you: do you take a 3 or 4-star? Do you try to recruit a 3 or 4-star from Alabama, even though you're not technically supposed to recruit? Do you try to get a 3 or 4-star from Alabama from their roster? Is it easier to recruit from Alabama or against Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State?
It's most likely easier to pull from them when you look at, like you said, you used Arkansas, for example. A guy like Drew Sanders, who was a backup as a true freshman. There's an injury to Chris Allen. He finally gets an opportunity, gets hurt, and then he gets replaced by a younger guy. So I think if you're one of those programs that's on the come up, and you're winning with the guys that you are recruiting, but you're not quite there yet, you can get to an Alabama and get a 5-star like Drew Sanders and go, hey man, I know things didn't work out for you there, but you come here and you can be a part of taking us to that next step. You can go pull from an Oklahoma, doing the same as they got a Jaden Hasselwood, a former 5-star wide receiver. They go to LSU and get a former 5-star defensive end. So I think for those type of schools, the transfer portal is what takes them to the next level.
Mason?
I mean, I think everything that you guys are saying are right. I think if you're in a situation like in Arkansas, I think pulling players from Alabama as opposed to going directly against them in head-to-head matchups for recruits is probably a little easier. We talk about it. I mean, almost every year, there's so many kids on this team that could be starters probably anywhere in the country, but they're backups in Alabama.
Yeah. And so that's the interesting part that's going to be fun to watch, guys, over the upcoming days, months, weeks, etc. is how, because what you have to understand right now is when you're going against a high school kid, they all think that they can play at Alabama, right? So when Nick Saban sells them on coming to Alabama, they all buy in because everybody tell them how great they are. Well, the guys who are on the roster, they figured out, oh, this is the next level stuff. And so convincing that guy to come and leave and come is a lot easier than just coming. And with that said, how many teams are sitting back with those relationships now? Think about this whole new philosophy. Now their relationship is, hey, listen, I know. Let me give you a great job. I got offered a job one time, guys, and this is the way it was offered. We want you, but we know you're going to take that job, and if it don't work out, we still want you. I got recruited that way by some smaller schools. Hey, listen, I know you're going to Alabama or Auburn or whatever, but if it doesn't work out, well, that's going to become a strategy. And when you have 100+ schools, guys, doing that to your program, all of a sudden Alabama could be cherry picked to death for depth and backups. Closing thoughts, X.
No, I agree with that philosophy. And, if you're one of those teams on the come up, that's not a bad strategy to take.
Not at all. And we'll see, does it have a true impact on Alabama? Free agency and its approach to college football is live and well. The transfer portal, NIL, is college football still an amateur sport? Is it still college football, or is it NFL light? We'll talk about that the rest of the summer. We'll bring DC Capstone Report into the conversation on tomorrow. We'll talk SEC Media Days as they kick off. We'll grade running backs. And hey, listen, bring your topic to the show. This is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9. And it's your show, your team, the Sound of Bama Sports. And we'll be back on tomorrow. And remember this: trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
If you